Alright, so in this video we are going to look at volume of cylinders. So we're going to find the volume of a cylinder, and we're also going to find the missing dimension when we are given the volume. So let's go ahead and get started. So just to remind you, volume is the amount of space that a three-dimensional object occupies. So we're not talking about a plane figure that you just simply draw on a piece of paper. A three-dimensional object is something that takes up space. Alright, so you might want to pause the video so that you can take out your volume and surface area sheet and copy some of this down. You'll want to draw the image of the cylinder and also the formula of the cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and get started with working in the example though, so make sure you pause if you need time. One thing you're going to see here is that we are using the same formula as rectangular prisms and triangular prisms, and that's because this volume equals big B times H works for all prisms and cylinders as well. So here we have a cylinder. The radius is 5 centimeters, the height is 10 centimeters. So the base is calculated as pi r squared. So we have 3.14 times 5 squared because our radius is 5. Now the height of the cylinder is going to be from one base to the other, and so that's going to be 10 in this case. So volume equals big B times H. Volume equals 3.14 times 5 squared times 10. All right, so volume equals, I'm going to simplify the 5 to the second power first. So 25 times 10. Volume equals, now we're going to do 3.14 times 25, and that's going to be 78.5. And now we're going to multiply it times the height of the entire prism, which is 10, and that's going to give us 785 centimeters cubed. Remember, when you're working with volume, you're always working in cubic units. All right, let's go ahead and start with our first example. So our formula is volume equals big B times H. So volume equals, let's look at the base. We have a radius of 3. So pi, which is 3.14, times 3 to the second power. And then the height of the prism is from one base to the other, and so that's going to be 8. So volume equals 3.14 times 3 to the second power is 9, and then times 8. So then we have 3.14 times 9, and that's going to give us 28.26. And we're going to multiply it times the height, which is 8. And that's going to give us a volume of 226 8/100ths. Now you'll notice that there's no units listed here, so we're just going to write units squared. And I'm sorry, it is not squared, it is cubed. I was thinking about surface area. All right, next one. So we're going to start with our formula, volume equals big B times H. Now you'll notice that it does not give us the radius, it gives us the diameter. But you know that radius is half of the diameter. And so if the diameter is 10 feet, the radius is going to be 5 feet. So volume equals, now our base is a circle, so it's pi r squared, so 3.14 times 5 squared. And then the height of the entire cylinder is from one base to the other, and that's going to be times 21. So volume equals 3.14 times 5 to the second power is 25 times 21. Now I'm going to calculate 3.14 times 25, and I get 78.5. And I'm going to multiply it times the height of the prism, which is 21. And I get 1,648 5/10. And our units is feet to the third power. All right, you go ahead and try this one. All right, go ahead and hit pause if you're not done. And if you are done, let's take a look at it. So you should have gotten 3014.4 centimeters cubed. The radius here is 8 centimeters, so we had 3.14, which is pi, times 8 to the second power. 8 to the second power is 64, and when we multiply that times 3.14, we get 296 hundredths, times the height of the cylinder, which is from one base to the other, 15, and you end up with the answer. All right, go ahead and try this one. All right, go ahead and pause the video if you're not done. So for this one here, you should have ended up with 4,220 and 16 hundredths. Now there's no units listed like inches or feet or centimeters, so you can go ahead and use units to the third power. So in this example, it had labeled the diameter, which is from one end of the circle to the other through the center, as 16. So my radius is half of that, which is 8, which was the same as in the last problem. So 8 to the second power is 64. 64 times 3.14 is 200.96. Then I multiply it times the height of the prism. Oh, sorry, not of the prism, of the cylinder, which is 21, and I get my answer here. All right, now let's take a look at a couple of examples where I'm given the volume, but I'm missing one of the dimensions. So we work with the same formula, volume equals big B times H. This time I have my volume, so 1,413 equals. I can also go ahead and calculate my base. Here it's giving me a diameter of 10, but I know that half of that would be 5. So I have 3.14 times 5 to the second power, but what I'm missing is my height, okay? So I'm going to multiply that times x. So 1,413 equals, I'm going to go ahead and simplify my base here. 5 to the second power is 25. So then 3.14 times 25, that's going to give us, and actually I don't need the parentheses there, that's going to give us 78.5x. Box the variable, divide both sides by 78.5, and that's going to give us a height of 18 centimeters. Now remember, when you are finding a missing dimension, your answer to the dimension is not going to be cubed because it's just one of the dimensions. All right, let's take a look at this one here. So same formula, volume equals big B times H, but this time I am missing the radius. I have the height though, and I have the volume. So my volume is 4069.44 equals, now I have some parts of my base. I know what pi is. So 3.14 and then times x squared, because remember it's r to the second power. And then times my height, which is 36. I want to start to isolate my x. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides by 36. So I get 113.04 equals 3.14x to the second power. Again, I'm trying to get my x alone, so I'm going to divide again both sides by 3.14. And now I get 36 equals x to the second power. Now the way that you get rid of your power there is by taking the square root of both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you want to do to the other. And so you're going to get x equals 6 centimeters. All right, you go ahead and try this one. All right, go ahead and hit pause if you're not done. So for this cylinder right here, we had the height of the cylinder, but what we were missing was the radius. So we had the volume of 4.71 equals pi, which is 3.14 times x to the second power, because remember our radius is always squared when we find the area of a circle, times 6. I divided 6 on both sides to start to get that x by itself. And then I had to divide both sides by 3.14 when I got 0.25 equals x to the second power. And to get rid of that second power, I had to take the square root of both sides. So I got x equals 0.5 centimeters. All right, go ahead and try this one. All right, go ahead and pause if you're not done. So here we had the radius, but we were missing the height of the cylinder. So our volume was 1,029 and 92 hundredths equals 3.14, which is pi, times 4 to the second power, because that was our radius, times x. I simplified the base, and I got 50.24 times x, divided both sides by 50.24, and I ended up with a height of 20.5 centimeters. All right, that is it for this lesson, and we will do a lot more practice in class.